Welcome friends to the video. Merry Christmas. I hope you are all having a really good holiday wherever you are watching this. And in this video, I want to talk about DPDR, anxiety and depression. Can anxiety and DPDR actually cause depression? Or if you are depressed, can you actually get anxiety and DPDR from that? In this video, I'm going to explain everything which is going on. And for all my subscribers, welcome back. And if you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Dan and I coach people, helping them out of their anxiety and DPDR to live the life that you want to live DPDR free. Somebody recently asked me about depression and DPDR, and they actually said that there wasn't a lot of information out there, and particularly not many videos at all out there about that. So I thought I'd do this video to sort of explain what is going on. I also want to do a little bit of a disclaimer that I'm not a psychologist and I'm not qualified to diagnose you or anything like that. If you are feeling depressed and if you do want to know if you do have depression, then you'll need to go see a doctor or a psychologist. So let's first talk about the two things. So there's anxiety and there's depression. So depression can be, feeling quite down, having no motivation, perhaps even having apathy where you don't feel anything at all. And being anxious is where you are scared about something. Something brings you fear, and you are anxious. And so having anxiety means that you experience this fear more than you should, and being depressed means that you experience this sadness more than you should. And when I say more, I'm talking about both in intensity and in length in time. I've struggled with depression before, and I've also struggled with anxiety, but I've managed to come out of both, thank goodness. And I want to talk about depression first a little bit. So first of all, I want to sort of get straight what I mean by depression. So there's feeling a bit down, there's feeling a bit glum, and people go like, oh, I'm so depressed today, or, sort of whatever they say. And then there's actual depression. And depression it just goes on and on and on and on, and it doesn't matter what you do, you just don't feel good. So that's the real difference. There's sort of feeling down for a couple of days where people will just use colloquially, I feel depressed, but they're not actually depressed. And then there's actual depression where it goes on for a lot longer. And I had actual depression. And it went on for about a year. It was awful. I was right in the middle of a black hole. I went through a lot of dark times, and it's not a good place to be at all. And I experienced apathy as well. I literally didn't care about anything. And eventually I managed to get myself out of it, and I haven't experienced it since. When I was depressed, I didn't feel anxious at all. I didn't feel scared about anything. In fact, I didn't really feel anything. So my sort of anxiety came on many years after the depression hit, and it was brought on by prolonged stress and just sort of worrying about stuff, just slowly building up over time until I hit the breaking point, and then I fell into DPDR and that cycle. And, I had to work myself out of that as well. And, I was able to do that, and that hasn't come back since either. So from my own experience and also my own research, depression doesn't necessarily lead to DPDR, because DPDR is a symptom of anxiety. But when you do have anxiety, you can feel depressed. And as I say, I don't know your specific situation, and if you do want to know if you are depressed or not, then you're going to have to go and talk to a doctor or psychologist. But one of the symptoms of anxiety is to feel down. It is to feel depressed. It is just to feel like, where is my life going? Why has this happened to me? Why am I the victim here? How come everyone else is having such a great life and I can't manage to get out of it? And, all those sort of thoughts that run through your mind. And naturally, if those type of thoughts are running through your mind, then it is going to make you feel down. You are just going to feel down about it. Whether you're actually depressed or not is a different thing, but feeling down and feeling sad can certainly happen with anxiety and with DPDR. And interestingly, when I was going through my journey of getting out of anxiety and all that, I experienced those symptoms too. I was just feeling down. Some days you're just like, man, can I just please just have a break. Like, can someone throw me a freaking bone here? Like, can I really just have a day where I don't have to battle, I don't have to think about it, I don't have to worry, I don't this and don't that. And it did bring me down as well. And so if you are experiencing a level of sadness with your sort of journey that you're on at the moment, then that is totally, totally normal. And a lot of people actually do go through this just because the sheer overwhelm of everything which is going on. If you're worried about a particular thing or a particular symptom and you're scared of them and it's making you more anxious, then it's just going to make the symptom stronger, which is going to make you more scared, and then that's going to also snowball out of control if it's unchecked as well. And I use the word unchecked intentionally because that really is what recovery and not being able to recover is about. If you just let your thoughts and let the racing thoughts and let everything just run wild and believe it all, if you start to follow the thoughts down the rabbit hole and actually believe you're not going to recover and actually believe that you're the only person that's ever experienced this and somehow your DPDR is different from everybody else and you've had checks to the doctor and you've had scans and blood tests and all that and they've given you a clean bill of health, but still you're not satisfied, then it's just going to continue. It's just going to continue and get worse. And the reason that I know this is because I've seen it often. A lot of people, when they come to me, they are in that very state where it is just running unchecked. And they're just like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't even know what this is. How do I get out of this? What path do I do? And then slowly, we start to get them on that path and then they do start to recover. And so I'd like to invite you now to consider, is this stuff going unchecked with you? Are you in some kind of cycle where no matter what anyone says or what you read or what you get told, you still think that perhaps it's something else? Perhaps I have a brain tumor. Or are you at the point where, you can't say, for example, leave the house? And you sort of say to yourself stuff like, well, I haven't left the house in 3 weeks. The mere thought of it fills me with dread. I'm not going to do it. I just get shortness of breath even if I think about leaving the house. What happens if I go outside? What happens if I have a panic attack? All this type of stuff, all this type of unchecked stuff. And why it's important to check it instead of leaving it unchecked is because when you check it, you bring it into the light and you realize that things aren't necessarily as bad as they seem. And you also realize that right now, your brain is very much focused on the bad. It's very focused on the negative. So naturally, everything you see and do and hear, all the information that comes into you, that's all going to filter through the negative as well. So what I'm sort of getting at here is that you're probably not seeing the situation for what it is. You're not seeing a realistic representation of what's actually happening with you. What you're seeing right now is a very distorted, a very dramatized, a very, going to the worst possible conclusion way of doing that. And that's not your fault. That's just how your brain is right now. It's not like you wanted to get into this. It's not like you've sat there and gone, I'm going to think the worst things possible just so I can make this worse. It's just happened over time. Basically, to sort of put it simply, you've just formed a lot of bad habits right now. And the thing with the mind is that it loves habits. It loves doing what it's been doing because it's easy, it's predictable, it knows what's going to happen, and the brain likes that. That's why things like breakups are really difficult, or losing your job, or moving house, or feeling like something is out of your control. That's why that type of stuff is difficult, because it's all change. And it's change which might have been forced upon you, which could be the worst possible, or which is the worst possible type of change. But the thing is that checking this stuff, not leaving it unchecked, this is a type of change that you have control of. So even if your mind is still resisting it, and even if it's still going the well-trodden path of ways you've been thinking for months or years or however long, it is still possible to go the other way. It is still possible to starve out these ways of thinking and these habits and nurture and create and strengthen new ones. And there's a word for that, and it's called neuroplasticity. And there are countless studies and papers and all that type of stuff that neuroplasticity is a thing. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And so one thing that you can do right now is just to really consider, what are you thinking about? What's on your mind most of the time? Is it your symptoms? Are they on your mind most of the time? Or is it sort of wondering why this has happened to you? Or is it wondering how it happened to you? Or is it wondering, is this something different? In other words, what's the main sort of theme of your thinking right now? What's your brain focused on? Because what you focus on, you're going to get more of. That's just a fact. So if you're focusing on all this stuff, then you're just going to get more of it, which is going to make you focus on it more. And so, my friends, I hope you really have gotten something out of this video and it has helped you. And if you do want to get in touch with me, then you can check out all the links down below. So, my friends, you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.